Hey YouTube, Cliff here. Today I'm going to try and go ahead and put a super sharp edge on this blade. It's a Cutco. It's got a concave bevel grind, so the edge is very thin. I think it's going to take very nicely to the type of sharpening that I'm going to do to it today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go edge trailing on the slack part of the belt, and I'm going to try and put just a 10-degree angle on this thing. And we're going to use the convex bevel. It's going to look like this. I'm going to take it all the way up and try and get it as sharp as possible. I'm not going to show every step of the sharpening. What I'll do is I'll show the grit progression as I go, but I'm not going to show the full sharpening of the blade. And then we'll look at it under the scope before and after. First, I'm going to go ahead and get the machine set up. I'm going to use this angle cube. And if you set it on here, I'll zoom in so we can see the angle cube. And I'm going to go ahead and zero it. If you don't have one of these, they're $15, $20, and they're really great for working with knife sharpening. So I've got it on the platen, it's sitting, I'll zero it, so that's 0 degrees, and then I'll raise it up, and so what I'm looking for is about 10 degrees, which is not very much. It's about half of a pinky, and maybe I've mentioned it before, but if I put my finger or pinky in here, that's usually about 15 degrees. So if I've got about a finger's length underneath the edge, that's how I get my 15-degree angle. Today I want to go to 10, so it's going to be very low. And there's going to be a little bit of because I'm using the slack part of the belt, there's going to be a little bit of an increase in the angle, so the final angle will probably be somewhere between 11 and 12. Okay, let's get this started. So I know I'm going to go here, I'm on the slack part of the belt, and I'm going to hold it just slightly up, maybe a 1/4 inch. And I'm going to try and continue to hold that same angle through all the steps. I'm starting with 120 grit. I'm going to look for the burr to form across the full apex, and maybe I'll just do an overhead shot at that point. Let me switch this to overhead and I'll do that. Okay, here's an overhead shot. I think that's a fairly good zoom, and hopefully you'll be able to see the angle, get the light adjusted right so you can see the burr when it comes off the top edge. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start doing this now. Just applying a moderate amount of pressure, not a ton. I want a gentle curve. I don't want to completely round it over. Consistency is the most important part. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in. Hopefully we can see the burr getting formed. Oh yeah. Oh, it's trying to autofocus on me. Okay. You can see that little wire edge. So we make sure we got a wire edge all the way from one end to the other. Okay. So that's the wire edge right up on top. You can see me bending it over with my finger even. We can take a look at that under the microscope if we want to. Okay, here's what that edge looks like under low magnification. This is a 120 grit belt. You can see that the rough, the toothiness along the top edge. Trying to see if we can find any of the foil burr here. There's a little bit of the foil burr. Okay, and that'll all wipe off basically. At a certain point, I'm going to go ahead and there's another piece of foil burr right there. That just means that we're apexed. We're up at the top. It's not a sturdy edge, so we do want to get rid of that. That's 120 grit. And I'm going to go ahead and switch back over now. Okay, now that we've apexed the bevel and we've seen the foil burr along the edge, I'm going to go ahead and replace the 120, and I'm going to do a grit progression of 320, 600, 900, 1200, 3000. So it should be 5 more grits, or 4 more grits, and I'm just going to do those really quick. It's going to be the same exact process. What I usually do is at 600, I'll go ahead and I'll knock the burr off with a soft stick or something like that, and that'll just rip that foil burr right off. It'll be fairly delicate at that point, and then I'll bring it back in again, but at a much finer grit, and you don't get a large burr formation with the 1200 and the 3000 grit belts. So take it up to 6, knock the burr off, and then re-apex it again at that point. And I could show that under scope. It's a little bit of a pain to switch the cameras around back and forth. I'm going to go ahead and do this real quick right now. Okay, I got the stropping machine over here on the bench. This is just the regular speed. Here's my green belt, my leather belt. Still waiting for my Bark River compound to come in. Okay, it's going to be a little noisy. Let's go ahead and get this right. Okay, this is going to be a little noisier. I'm going to go ahead and I'm still going to strap on the soft part of the belt. Light pressure. I'm going to hold that same angle of about 10 degrees. Okay, the pressure was too light. I increased the pressure a little bit. I can feel it starting to get sharper. It's starting to pop hairs off my arm. I'm pushing the boat down in the water a little more. There we go. If you're holding the right angle, you don't have to worry about over-honing it. Okay, that's a great first step right there. Okay, I'm going to switch over to the 1 micron felt. And you can use whatever you got. The idea is just to do a progression to get it finer and finer. That belt really seems to work good for me. Now it is softer and it's got a little more give than the leather, so I don't push down as hard on it. But now we're getting into that area where it'll just whisk hair right off your arm. And we got 2 more steps to go. Oop. Okay, 0.25. Okay, same pressure, same angle. Same pressure, same angle. We're just doing the same thing we did with the belts, the sandpaper belts, is we're just refining the scratch pattern and bringing that apex down, and boy howdy is it getting sharp. Okay, one last one and we get to test it out. This is 0.1 micron CBN. I'm going to wipe the blade really quick. Okay, here we go. Okay, now it's popping hairs. Okay, sorry I had to cut away there for a minute. I had company come over. I was just finishing the final step, which is the 0.1 CBN. Should be noted that a side effect of going to finer and finer grits is you end up with a mirror polish on the blade as well. Under the scope, there are no scratch lines available anymore. It is like a razor blade at this point. Each steel will handle the same treatment. I've done the same exact things with different knives, and you get a slightly different result from each one. The higher carbon steels, the Japanese steels, they will do insane things. But as an example, I mean, most knives will. This is the kind of cutting action you'll get with this, and this is damp old phone book paper. I'm going to try and slice through it without even holding the paper. So that's an example of how sharp this is. The original idea, I came, as I've mentioned many times, I came from using a Wicked Edge, and that's where I learned my theory and my practice of knife sharpening. And with the Wicked Edge, you have very precise angles, and there's guys there that are have a PhD degree in sharpening. I mean, they are down to the microns and the tenth of a degree of angle. I thought, what if I can take those same principles and apply it to a belt sharpening? And I asked around at the different forums, and people said, we don't know. We've only done to 200, 300, 400 grit, and then we knock the burr off, and that's what we do. So when I started doing this, it was an experiment to see if it was even possible. And I was really happy with my first results, going with the higher grit belts, the 1200 structured abrasive belt, the 3000 structured abrasive belt, and then playing with different honing compounds with the strops, with the felt strop, with the leather strop. At a certain point, I was actually able to take with one of the knives and put a hair on it and pull the hair across, and it curled and split the hair. And that was with a machine's sharpening system. So the results are possible with the right application. And that's sharp enough for anybody. It's crazy sharp. Again, we got damp paper, so it won't go sideways. Anyways, guys, I hope that shows you what we can do with this thing. Thank you guys for watching, and have a great day.